can you imagine sitting down with a brand new client, the one that doesn't even understand like anything about Teams, and trying to explain the 100 settings or all these restrictions or read receipts? And
I do it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, they'd glass over, right? So
They do,
start simple, right? And kind of follow a roadmap.
Like you said earlier, just get them to talk to each other.
Get them to talk to, send pictures of cats. Well, I always thought that was so kind of Javier, the old corporate guy. When I first saw like the GIFs and stuff,
that's you.
That's me. The GIFs things was like the first thing in my mind was like turn it off.
Yeah,
turn it off.
Dumb.
This is dumb. This distracts productivity, which is like
it's not business oriented.
That's right.
You bang your cane on the floor.
Right. And 15 years ago, that was like this can just turn it off. Everything that's fun and makes the users happy because we're here to work.
Yeah, that's right.
Until I did my first big Teams training where it wasn't admins in the room, it was users. And I was like, okay, well, here's your partner, send each other messages. And it wasn't, hello, how are you? Fine, good, it works. It was like cats and funny little reactions. And I was like, that's what it's for. It's to drive adoption. These people will play with it so much thinking it's funny that they'll be like, cat, reaction, funny GIF, RuPaul. Hey, did you have that spreadsheet?
Yeah,
I mean, it's going to happen.
And then the response is, yeah, I mentioned you in the place where I saved it.
Right.
And then we're both in it working together, and they're like, "Wait a minute,
I'm like, you little
this thing isn't
bastard.
This thing isn't just a chat client."
That's right.
That's real life, though. Because
it's real life.
That's how you talk. That's how you're not all business all the time, right?
Right. And again, that's been a huge failure. I think it's been a huge failure of what the other platforms. I mean, I remember talking about same time with a bunch of people and talking about this is what it does and how you send files and reference, and it was like, "Hi, does it work?" Yes. And they wouldn't touch it for a month. And so all you did was work on evangelists, right? And you had to evangelize the boss. So the boss would use it, and then people would use it because the boss used it.
Mm-hmm. We hear that a lot, actually, which is
top down. Everything's top down.
Yeah.
Adoption is driven top down. But here's a toy. I gave them a toy. Now they're going to play with the toy. And eventually they'll send something funny to the boss, which is their buddy, and they'll think it's funny, and then it'll start working that way. So they were very intelligent to add that toy. And one of the funniest things about it, the first thing they say is, "Oh, it's like Facebook." I mean, that's that. They're like, "Oh, it's like Facebook." I know how to use it.
So we need to send more funny things to Ingram, is what you're saying.
You guys have funny things going on right now. You have like a funny channel, right? Something like that. Or
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I see it.
There may or may not be a thing. I
see the cats fly around. There's a lot of other stuff though.
You got a secret channel?
I don't have a secret channel.
Maybe an Office funny humor or something like that. Isn't there one?
You're turning a little red over there, Alan. I think so.
Office funny humor?
I think it's the random.
Oh, maybe Steven's not part of the membership.
It's the.
I'm trying to figure out what this is.
It's the random. The random. It's like called the random funny things plus funny gifs of Chris Bridges or something like that.
The thing that John only.
John uses that one. Yeah, that's where we.
Aren't you anti-GIF? I heard that about you.
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, we were told by multiple people that you get mad every time we post GIFs in an open channel.
In all company.
Like someone does a comment and then we do a funny thing and someone's like, "Oh, don't do that. Ingram's part of this."
I don't think so. I mean, maybe I'm definitely more accepting of it than I was.
We had to put him on the spot while we were recording. That's the only way to.
Well, not on this podcast. But
as soon as we sign off, though, no more GIFs.
I think it's back to what Javier's saying is like if 100% of it was like funny GIFs and cat pictures, I would be like, yeah, this tool needs to go, right? But if it's we're getting work done and there's some humor around it and having fun with it, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. And that's the business persona is one of the obstacles I think that's been the hardest. We're different people at the office, so when we can converse, we can say funny things, and then I'm going to write you an email. By the way. Yeah. Mr. Leedy.
As previously stated.
That's just not realistic, right? We're not stockbrokers.
It takes a lot of energy to sit down and do that too, like to change gears, to be formal.
Right.
And that's probably another thing about Teams that it's so informal and so like just, as you're thinking ideas, right?
Yeah.
And I honestly think a lot of the business, just based off of how we interact with admins out in support, you would be shocked to know how many of them write us like there are, like, you know what I'm saying? Like we're friends outside of work. Yeah. I mean, they're like, yeah, I gave it a shot, but it was a little complicated, LOL, this and that. And, a funny little GIF or an emoji or something. And we're like, clients would have never talked to us like this 5 years ago.
Dear Mr. Cornell.
Yeah, that's what it was. And if anything was a little bit weird, Bill Sands is on the phone with the owner of the company being like, what is your support? You know, and it's like, you know, real touchy.
Times have changed.
And now, you know, you got like the thing I just posted in Teams, you got Leon sending us Yoda quotes. You know what I mean? Like it's.
Yeah. I mean, I remember my first growing up job. I was working for a pharmaceutical company, and you had to wear a tie. And if you were above a certain level, you had to wear a jacket. And everybody had to, women had to wear pantyhose, and it was like really formal. And you'd get these memorandums, and emails would be, you know, perfectly structured, and there's double spacing and all that stuff. But that was 1996.
And even then, who cared about that?
They did. Oh, they cared about it intensely.
They did, but like the employees could have just gotten it some other way, and they would have been like, okay, cool. You know, I mean, I don't think anyone appreciates how much time and effort had to go into organizing and structuring.
That's what's changing is probably that those to being informal is not changing the way people are being productive.
Right.
You know.
Right.
Because I think you know I think of IBM when you say that, because when I was growing up, IBM was the company. You know, they made the PC, and to me, IBM was like Mr. Blue. You know, it's like coat and tie, and everything had to look correctly and very formal, and that's the way people respect, treated. You dress, you know, there's a lot of theory about you dress for other people, and but yeah, I mean, I think what's happened over time, the millennials, the younger people come in, they're a lot more relaxed, casual, and productivity has remained the same or is better in some ways. It's actually easier and funner, you know?
Yeah, I mean, just coming here from the place, I mean, you've got a ton of corporate experience, and I just have one before here, and it was, you know, probably around the same as what I mean, there was like 5,000 employees, and we were in 3 different states, and it was, you know, suit pants. I mean, I was a hardware engineer that had to crawl under desks, and I still had to wear suit pants.
And a tie.
I didn't have to wear a tie, luckily enough, but it was a button-up shirt and suit pants with dress shoes on, and I was the dude crawling around in like server rooms, and I would come out filthy, and they would be like, yeah, don't worry about it, just we'll pay for your dry cleaning. And it's like, you're really going to do that, or just let me wear jeans? And they're like, nope. You know, and it's
yep.
Okay. I think we flirted with this as well. I mean, we've gone, even just our history, 20 years or so, we've gone sort of back and forth, and you know, we've questioned whether being casual is the right way or not. You know, I mean, I think me personally, I've looked at it like, you know, I grew up, my dad wore coat and tie everywhere he went, and as a child, he always made me dress in a coat and tie as well. So when I flew on an airplane or I met with other people, I wore coat and tie, and when I was older, even out of college, I'd go on a job interview, and these, interviews, I really didn't do that, but I mean, where I was and with the businesses, I was working with other businesses, and I was always overdressed. I was way overdressed than most other people, and I think that was a disadvantage of me being like working with these other people, because I was so standoffish with the way I dressed.
You think that's kind of old fashioned?
Yeah, it was old fashioned. Yeah. I mean, in my head, I was like, oh no, I'm dressing for respect, but I also think it hurt me too, because I think it made me look like I was more like serious and not as like
approachable.
I'll give you an example. I mean, we had an internet business, and we sold it, and I sold it to another company, and they were another internet business. It was in Orlando, and when I went over there to meet the other executives, I was all dressed up, coat and tie. And they were all like, hey, we're going up to the basketball game this weekend, and they're in their shorts hanging out, you know. And I just didn't jive with that. You know, it wasn't my thing. And so, like, I think because of that, I didn't really jive with that organization. And, you know, that's kind of why I did my own thing. But I think I've struggled with that even here at our office, is like, you know, should you be formal? You know, be like the IBMers, because that's serious. You're doing business, and you want bigger business like IBM. You need to wear a coat and tie. Or does everyone wear shorts and, you know, hang out and more, you know, casual? So it's.
Well, I think it goes back to what you said. You're dressing for other people, and if the other people that you're here for aren't the ones buying your business, then maybe that, you know, like our sales guys, you know, when Pedro goes out, he's dressed up, he's representing the company outside of here, but in here, you know, it's like,
yeah, but why? I mean, this is kind
know
of
your audience.
This is why I like the T-Mobile guy, who's the CEO of T-Mobile. He's down to earth, and he's just crazy, silly, and there's no one else like him, because he just is him, and work and home is the same. Like for him, his personality doesn't flip back and forth, and I think I admire that, because That's a hard thing because I was in an earlier podcast I was talking about how my office used to be at the house like a real when I first started out I was at the house and I had this threshold. You walked over that threshold and I was like serious. When you walked the other side of that threshold, it was my kids and fun and family. Yeah, it was a switch.
Flip.
And I like went back and forth. I had two personalities. It was like I'm like crazy like.
Jacket on, jacket off.
It's like I think more now I'm more relaxed about like, going back and forth. It's like, no, it's the same thing. My life and work and life are all the same. I do try to dedicate more time, being more human and family wise, but not working all the time. Even on the weekends I'll come up here and work when it's not supposed to.
We
right?
noticed.
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's the thing. It's like trying to find that balance, and maybe there isn't a balance. Maybe it's just being you.
Yeah. So that now, remember maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you talked about work-life balance.
Mm-hmm.
Now we talk about work-life integration.
Yeah.
How to fit work into your life, and not how to keep them separate. Because realistically, I mean,
well, and not
with that thing we're all carrying in our pockets.
Yeah.
There's no you don't punch out and go home.
The idea is the integration without dying of stress.
Right.
Because there's psychological things that are reasoning behind having a separation. And it depends on the job. It depends on your responsibilities.
Well, it depends on being happy. I mean, my dad always I thought was really good advice. He said, try, I was like, when I was in high school, I was trying to figure out what I was going to do, kind of like everybody asks you, what are you going to do with your life, But my dad always gave me this advice. He said, do your hobby, like make a living doing your hobby. If you can make a living doing your hobby, you'll be happy. And for my dad, he was an architect, and for him was coloring. It's like my dad was at the office coloring. That was the sort of the joke in the family. He's with his colored pencils and drawing, and that's what he did for fun, and that's how he made a living. And for me, that was computers. Like computers has been my hobby, and I've tried to make a living doing my hobby. And so like that's why I say I come up here on a Saturday or something. Because that's how I want to. I don't do it because I have to.
I was up here yesterday.
Yeah.
Why?
I needed to get some stuff, and I ended up sitting down and working for.
That's the Lord's Day.
I was out getting my car washed. I say, hey, I'm near the office. Swing through and
yeah.
And I
well, you brought it up the other day. We were talking. Chris and you were working on Teams or talking, and Chris was working at the same time, not because he had to, because he just wanted to, right?
Yeah. So, something
happens,
pops up,
right.
and you just you do what you need to do. I mean, I get Teams messages all weekend, and I'll look at it and I'll read it, and I'm like, maybe that one can wait till Monday. But sometimes I can't.
I mean, that's what I like about Teams to me is just feeling. We were talking about this morning. Was like I just feel so more connected with everything going on. I just feel like I'm in the know with what's happening. If I want to know something, I can ping out real quick. It's not a big deal. I'm not writing this formal email. Mr. Cornell, I need to talk to you about the stats.
Then you got an email from Ingram Leedy.
Listen, if Ingram wrote me something that sounded like that, I'd be like, uh-oh.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's easy for me to say, hey, how's support today? How's it going? Casual, send you the funny cat picture, I suppose now, right? I guess it sounds like I got to send you funny
You're
cat
in there
pictures
now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You got to break the mold.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what Teams is to me. It's about staying connected. It's about, feeling like I'm in the know. And I think growing a business, that's the thing you lose is like, as you start off, you can know everything going on, but as you hire more people to help you do things, is you lose that feeling of being in the know with everything going on.